We're sitting down now with Buck Davidson. Buck, you're riding 3 horses here at Rolex. You've been around these tracks so many times since you were quite young, and there's quite a legacy in your family. Your father, obviously an eventing legend, Bruce Davidson. Over the years, did you feel like you had to kind of live up to that, or maybe the pressure was good or bad or indifferent?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I've come to Kentucky since I was 2 years old, and I think it's something that the Davidson family did every year. And, so for me, pressure is sort of what you put on yourself. It's not from outside. And so, what Dad's done here is unbelievable. And, I'm just trying to win one. And, if we can get that done, then we'll start worrying about 4 or 5 more. But, it's an unbelievable place. It's it's an important place in our family. And, Kentucky growing up was the only event I ever wanted to go to. The rest of them just seemed like early mornings and late nights. And so Kentucky was always a fun place to go. And so it's pretty cool to be able to be here. I rode my first Kentucky when I was 17, and I'm 37 now. And I think I've only missed 2 years. So I've been very, very fortunate in my career.
Well, you're an avid sports fan, as we know, a huge golfer. You spend a lot of time golfing, and the mental game in riding is so important, but mental game throughout all sports, obviously a big focus, not maybe as much in eventing from the outside looking in, but things that you've taken from the other ends of the sports world and maybe used throughout your mental game here in the equestrian world?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about me is I'm not that smart. So the mental side of it is leave it away and don't use my brain too much. It's it is a sport, and you have to have a plan, but you really need to react. And especially at this level, the 4-star level, you need to really be proactive rather than reactive, and make sure that the horses stay confident and stay forward and stay in front of your leg. And the event has to just sort of happen for you. You sort of get mental and think about it all before you even start. But once you start, it's all about reacting and being able to feel what's going on underneath you and do the best thing at the time. And the decisions in this game are split second. Where when I play golf, I don't have any idea what I'm doing, but it seems to take forever. So I got a lot of time to think and mess up my swing. So out here, I feel a bit more comfortable. It's a bit more natural, and sort of instinct takes over. And that's one thing that I've been blessed with, is to have sort of natural instinct, and what I've needed to get better on is the technique and stuff like that. And so I've worked hard on that. And but on Saturday, certainly, and today in the dressage, the instinct does take over. And I'm fortunate to have a lot of horses, and so I go in the ring a ton of times every week. And so it just sort of happens, and I'm very lucky.
Just like a lot of other athletes review film all the time of themselves, do you look at film? Do you look at videos of different rides, or maybe even look back at Rolex when you're 16 and think, oh my gosh?
Yeah, when I first did Kentucky, if you watch that video, you can't believe I'm still here. I do watch a little bit of video, but I more watch people that are really good. And from all, I'm sort of one of those people that at night goes and watches, old Kentuckys or old Babingtons or old Burleys or, Cheltenham Gold Cup or something like that. So I do watch a lot of videos, but it's not necessarily watching myself. It's more about watching the other people that are sort of, similar body types to me. But I just like to watch good riding, like I like to watch good football or good baseball or good anything is cool to watch. And I think you can learn a lot from people that are successful, and whether it's in sports or in business or whatever. For me, it's way more important to listen than it is to talk.
That seems like a philosophy that new coach David O'Connor's been talking about over and over, that you have to study the game that you're in order to be successful. Have you heard him talk about that? And it seems like you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is into, that side of the game. And, he and I are a little bit different, in the way that we think. But, I think, so far he's done a good job of coming to me and understanding that I'm a little bit more instinctual, and where he was a little bit more planned and methodical. And, probably I need to get more methodical. And, but one thing I think you have to be careful of is paralysis by analysis. And, you see that so many times where people just analyze, and they forget that it's a sport and you got to react as it's going on. So, I have a good relationship with David, and, so far it's so good.
Well, we'll talk with David later on in the week in this booth right here. And you help so many riders, Buck. You were just schooling Holly Bennett-Atwood on a jump school over in the Barns, and so many big name riders ride with Buck Davidson. And so being a rider yourself and normally competing against them and everything, how are you able to really individualize them, help them? And what are some of your training techniques or things leading up to 4 stars that you kind of instill upon them and maybe some advice that you give them?
Well, it's I'm very lucky, again, to have the students that I have, and the results that they've produced, and it's all because of their hard work and dedication. If I can give them a tip here or there, well, that's great. But they're sort of so self-motivated people, Holly and Allie Knowles, that are here this weekend. They're good riders to start with, but more my job, sort of when we get to the competition, is more sort of mental and more the cheerleader. You can do this, and give them a little tip here or there, but fill them full of confidence. And but through the winter and getting ready for this, it's a lot of technical and difficult stuff, and kind of start off quite difficult, and as we're getting closer to the event, actually gets a little bit easier. And and the hard stuff is out of the way, and we can do that now, and then everything becomes easy. And so my philosophy is I want at home to be harder than what they're going to see here, and so that when they get here they feel confident and ready. And I'm really proud of the students that I have, whether they're at Kentucky or they're an adult amateur that's doing their first preliminary. It's something I really enjoy, and it's something that I actually have to mentally really concentrate. The riding part for me is fairly easy, but actually concentrating and trying to make somebody else successful is it's really cool. And it's I feel like when they win, I win, and if I get beat by one of my students, that's awesome.
Well, along those same lines, too, you bring a lot of horses up through the ranks. So any things that with those youngsters you look for? You've had so many horses being top horses now, really. I think you're the leaderboard, topping the leaderboard right now across the U.S. For all your points and for all the success you've had this season. But when you look at a horse, what do you look for and say, I think that one maybe in a few years when it matures and develops, it could go to Kentucky, or it's a big-time horse, instead of that's an amateur's horse, or that looks like a kid could ride it, or, how do you decide who's best suited for what and make those decisions?
That's a good question. It's again, for me, it's more just a gut instinct. For instance, Park Trader, I was doing a clinic. I do a series of clinics here in Kentucky, and then I came and watched the 1-star and helped the people, and I was sort of sitting out there watching a million 1-star horses gallop by, and all of a sudden Park Trader galloped by, and I go, wow. And I stood up and took a look. When you see Kobe gallop, it's something special. And so when I talked to the Seagulls about maybe getting him, it was clearly that he wasn't a preliminary horse or an intermediate horse or even a 3-star horse. He was supposed to come to Kentucky. He's got the gallop, he's got the jump, it's the 6 inches between his ears. And so for me, the first thing is I got to want to look at them. I've got to like them. Do they have a good eye? Because I want to look them in the eye. If I can't look them in the eye, then I don't want to ride them. And then, from there, you sort of, you got to have the right temperament, and obviously the jump, the gallop, the movement, la-da-da-da. But really, it's probably not the answer anybody's looking for, but it's just a gut feeling. And then once I'm lucky enough to have an owner step up and get the horse, then it's my job to get it to Kentucky. That's all there is to it. And some of them have been maybe not as good as I maybe had hoped for, and some of them turned out to be better than you hoped for. So, but this weekend, I'm really, really excited. I mean, I've got Reggie and Kobe, who are mine. They're not mine. The Seagulls own them, but I've had them for a little bit. And then De Niro is. It's a really nice horse. So I've come to Kentucky with 3 horses. I've actually come one year with 4, but I never had 3 really good ones. And the 3 that I have now are better than the one I've had lots of times.
Well, these 3 horses are so different, and as you said, there's great owners, but I think that a lot of riders here at Kentucky you'll see have owners, and that relationship is always one that you have to balance properly. Every owner is different, and they all want different things. They all kind of need your attention in different ways. How you've been really successful having great owners in your career. What are some of the tips that you've used to maybe procure those owners, but not only procure them and keep them happy and keep that relationship good, and also, kind of find that easy medium where you're able to focus on your ride, but also remember that they own this horse and they're the reason that you're able to be here?
Well, that's the most important thing, is understand there is no Buck Davidson without Carl Siegel or Lee Mesher or Sherry Martin or whoever, Sharon Will. I mean, I'm so fortunate to have so many good owners, and each one, look, they send horses to me or they get horses because they want to be here. And the thing that I take most pride in is they're all here watching the other owners' horses this weekend. It's a team, and I really try to instill that we're going to have a team at my farm, and whether it's the lowest guy mucking the stalls or the top 4-star rider in the barn, it's everybody's working together. And but as far as the owners go, it's there is no me without them, and so they're the most important thing. And each owner has a little different idea of what they want. Some owners are really hands-on and they want to know what's going on. There's some owners that don't really even come, which for me, I do much better with the owners that really are into it and want to know what their horses are doing on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis, and that come to the horse shows and all that stuff. And so I think that what I do is try to communicate with them and just be as straight and honest and just tell them, hey, and tell them that the horse actually isn't going that well at home. And so when they get to the show, they don't expect to win because I've told them that actually he's not going that well.
Do you ever just tell them that so that when it wins, they're really happy?
Well, it's happened before.
Not going well.
It's not going well, but all of a sudden we get lucky. That does happen, but certainly, and it's happened the other way too, where I'm like, wow, this horse is going unbelievable, and then I go and blow it up. And so it's happened every which way, but I think, they don't want to just hear that their horse is perfect, and they want to know what I've been working on, what what we're doing, whether it was good, whether it was bad, why it was bad, why it was good, what are the plans for the coming weekend, and some of the plans sometimes are, I'm not going to try to win this weekend, right? Like I'm going to go and do a quiet, a really good quiet dressage, but maybe it's an intermediate horse that gets nervous, and I'm going to ride him in a training level frame this weekend, and just, I just want him to be steady and just be quiet, and maybe he's going to be too low, or he's going to be too long, or he's going to be too whatever, and maybe the ground's too hard, so I'm going to decide to go slow on the cross country, and and maybe I'll say, this horse needs to relax in the show jumping, so I may, jump a few jumps, give him a pat, make it easy, maybe have a couple of time faults in the show jumping. It's, it's all about producing the horse for the big day, and I think the owners that I have enjoy the process, and they, that I hope they feel like they're as important as I know they are.
Well, the 3 horses that you brought to Kentucky are very special, as you were saying, and there are unique things about each of them. De Niro will make his Kentucky debut. He's owned by Lee Mesher, and he has lots of fun nicknames around the barn. I think Lee calls him D-Money. Then you have Park Trader, and also Reggie, who is a calm, collected guy. So things that make them unique, and maybe some personality traits or fun things about those guys.
Park Trader's the talented, good-looking, I would say another word, but we'll say jerk. He's not a pet in any way. He's not a, you come to a stall, he puts his ears back. He wants the attention, but he's not going to come and love you. Reggie is very, very professional. I mean, if you saw him at the jog yesterday, he just walks up there. He knows what's going on. He's been to a million of these 4-stars all around the world, and he's just professional. He doesn't want anybody messing with him. He goes to, he hangs out at the horse shows at the back of the stall, and Kathleen Blau, who's been with me for 11 years, takes care of Reggie, and nobody messes with Reggie but Kathleen. And So he's fun, but he's all business. He knows what's going on. And De Niro he's the one that everybody would love to come and hang out with at the stall and pet, and he'll eat whatever you have in your hand. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's always up to something. So De Niro sort of is a eater and a sleeper and a lover, where the other two, Kobe's maybe too into himself to worry about anybody else, and Reggie's too focused on the competition. So they're all three different horses, but it's kind of fun to see the difference, and I love each one.
Well, this weekend here, there's a great course put forth by Derek Dragazi. We chatted with Lynn Smansky and Aaron Sylvester earlier about that course, and you'll get a chance to tackle that 3 times on Saturday, being one of the first out there. You did get to pick the order in which you rode these horses in, and you and I chatted a little bit about that earlier, but that kind of a strategic choice and why you made the choices you did to put them in the order that everyone here will get to see them in.
Well, it had a little bit to do with the dressage, obviously, and obviously has a bit to do with the cross country. Park Trader, Kobe he's still learning the dressage. I've just had him for 2 years, and this is his first go at 4-star. But he's a very fast horse. He's got an unbelievable gallop, and but he is unorthodox, so it doesn't really matter what anybody else is doing, because if there's a 3-stride out there, you never know, Kobe might just do it in 2. As soon as I try to tell him what to do, something bad's going to happen, but if I just let him go, we're all right. Then thinking to the cross country and the dressage, Mardemore is pretty good on the flat. Might be a little short a gallop tomorrow or on Saturday. Very good jumper. So I thought it would be handy for me to, know the course a little bit from Kobe, and have the other riders feedback at that point, and so I can be as efficient as possible. And then obviously Reggie comes last, and he's typically very good in the dressage. It's no secret he's not the fastest horse in the world, and so I do need to be as efficient and as good as I possibly can, and so I thought that would give me the best chance to give him the best ride I could. So that was kind of the thought process, and we'll see if it works.
Does anybody out there have a question for Buck that they would like to ask him about any of his horses or this weekend? You don't have to be shy. He's very friendly.
There you go.
Okay. What? One more time? The question was, will you be doing a guided course walk?
Yeah, I'm doing a course walk Friday afternoon, and I'm not sure. I'm one of the last ones, so sometime after that. Yep.
Anybody else? All right. Well, you're off the hook. You can check out other interviews right here on this very couch in the interview lounge, and you can also ask writers questions online by hashtagging RK3DE interview. And Buck will be around here all weekend. I'm sure some of these ladies are going to want your autograph real quick before we let you sneak out. And then we wish you the best of luck. We'll be watching you all weekend. You have another ride today, and then you'll go again tomorrow.
Thanks, Frankie. Great furniture. Great idea.
Great furniture.